this. Okay, I thought we would go through our agenda for today. We're going to log in. We're going to learn a little bit about the navigation options, the personal settings. We're going to see what it looks like to view some statements, and then we're going to talk about disposition codes or status codes, and try to introduce a little bit of the terminology that we need to learn from each other. So the login for Equiant is client.equiant.com. You'll probably want to bookmark that. We're going to go into our beta version of this. And when you come in, you're going to have a home page that you land on. It has the header bar where it has the able to enter an account number. It has account features. Everyone's menu will probably be a little bit different depending on what user group they're in. But there's account features, reporting, campaigns for collection work, some administration duties, and then some basic developer and information functions as well. What we want to start with is the settings, which is this little control wheel up here. And this is where we have a few choices that we can make, the most important being time zone. So when you first get your login that's unique to you, please go in and set the proper time zone so your comments will stamp with the proper time, and campaigns, if you're going to be using the collection campaigns, will function properly, present accounts to you when they need to. So please remember that. Some of the other options on the settings is how do you prefer to search when folks call in and do not have their account number? Do you usually sort or try to search by phone number or by name? You can even, if someone says, I remember making a payment, you can search by a credit card number and try to find an account number that way. So that's, or my favorite is view date. So if customer says, I know I called yesterday, you can set this for yesterday and look at all the accounts that you pulled up on a particular day.
So old account number is their member number with us.
Right. We are going to put your, like 14258 into the old account number field. So that's going to be available also.
Are you including the 01 dot or just the last after the dot? Or have you even programmed that yet?
There's no ability to include the dot, and there's no like leading zero. So it would just be the numeric portion of that.
Okay.
Can we leave the first one on?
Yeah, we might want to remove that first one if it's a part of it.
Yeah.
Is that possible at this point?
So remove the first one on every account?
Correct.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it doesn't need to be one and then the number, because we actually, the way that we access it is everything after the dot.
Okay.
So like 01.456, we just
number, yeah. You just want the number. Okay.
Yep.
I'll make a note of that, so when we program that cross-reference, we can do that. Great. All right. One of the other options that we have is your landing page, and this will be basic to the type of function that you perform. So if you have a call center, incoming customer service calls or outbound collection efforts, the Express View screen was designed for call center, whereas if you are in the contracts area and you're working with new sales, you may like the contact information or the loan history. So once you become familiar with the screens and you find yourself using one most of the time, you may want to come back in here and use that page as your default for your landing page when you come into Client Central. The other option that you have is note type. So if you are going to be one that enters a lot of comments, again, if you're on customer service and you have incoming calls, or if your collections making outbound calls, or if you're assigned to work the incoming emails, you can pre-select your note type code, which is a code that indicates the type of comment being entered, and they can be reported on and extracted based on these note type codes.
Eric, back one step to the account page. What would you suggest initially for us when we're starting Express View? Okay.
Yeah, and we'll show that, and you'll see that it's again, we designed it for our internal use, and we had a lot of feedback and input from our clients. So we tried to incorporate as much of that as possible into that Express View. Okay. The other one that you may like is the transaction sort for like payment histories. If you'd like from January to December, where January is at the top of your screen, you can sort ascending. If you like December to January, you can sort it descending. So it's a personal preference. And then when you make the changes, you're just going to save. And you'll get a confirmation that those changes were saved. So looking at Express View, I guess we need an account number first.
Now you had said that the first 5 or 6 are going to be the same for all our members.
Yeah.
Do you know what those numbers are going to be at this point?
Yes, it's going to be 263001.
And then their member number.
Correct.
Okay.
And then the VOR one, the venture out one.
Venture out's in the same system now, right? We have separate number, a separate first.
Eric, do you know what the first 6 are for venture out?
265001.
They're all in the same.
Okay, great.
So this banner up here with the account number and the names, this banner is going to be at the top of every screen. It has the customer's name 1 and name 2. There's the ability for additional names. We just show the first 2. It has the loan and the dues client name. So yours will say Outdoor Adventures or Venture Out. It has the loan delinquency or the dues delinquency. And if you hover over them, it will give you the next payment due date for each of those. It has the status codes or disposition codes. And again, if you hover over those, it kind of explains what those are a little bit more. And then it has a bring current amount. So you can see in a snapshot that this customer has a loan and a dues account. They're both current, and they don't owe anything at this point. So here are those note type codes that you can choose from in your default. So an incoming call, we can say, whenever there's a blue banner, we can expand that and get the information, or we can collapse it. So we can see that his payoff as of today is $17,657. We can confirm the address and phone numbers and email. And so what's nice about the comment box is you can continue the comments without having to file every time you want to go to something new. So we can say verified address, phone number, email. And then you say the customer says, I want to confirm that you received my loan payment. So we can go over to the loan history, and we can show that last payment was in December. Again, this is a test environment. So only when you're completely done, you can file the note, and so you don't have to enter all these little choppy notes. It'll enter one continuous note for you as you go through the different screens. So back to the, yeah.
Is there a limit on the characters?
No. If we go and look at the comments, you'll see some. Usually they're simple and short, but they can be pretty long. We have some clients that if they have an email chain, they'll actually copy that in the comments. It's a little convoluted after a while, but no, there's no limit. So back to our Express view, one of the reasons that we designed this was exactly that. We can confirm the contact information, which it's important to keep that up to date. Phones, emails, we need to enter a new one. We can create a custom label. And so now that email is part of the account record as well. If there were other accounts, say they had upgraded, so they had an old account that's now inactive, it would show up under the other accounts. Or if they had another account that was active, it would show up there as well. The loan information has basic information that you may want for an incoming call. How much is to bring current, my total payment, any partial payments, payoffs, per diem, your daily interest accrual, how many payments made, remaining, payment frequency, our late charge code, $5 after 30 days, what lender code this is, or assignment code for you, the last time there was a payment, then the interest and date information. And then under the dues or membership fee, it has the same thing. This looks like this account has credit balance, so there's really nothing owing at this point. They don't have a reason for delinquency. The accounts are not delinquent. There's no information codes for this particular client. And then under comments, it has the last few comments as well. So that's the Express view.
What potentially would be the informational codes and the delinquency reasons?
Reason for delinquency, there are predetermined codes that we've created that you can put onto the account. So if they've say that they've sent in their rescission papers, you can actually stamp that onto the account, and then that becomes something that can be reported on. We can even build collection campaigns on reason for delinquency. And then when we go back into the Express view, now that reason has shown up in the banner, so it kind of stands out that there's a reason for delinquency and what that reason is. So now this is visible, and we can see, without digging in too deep, that there's a reason for delinquency on the account. Information codes are customizable, so they can be just about anything.
Where do we find, I remember you saying that the disposition codes were going to look just like the contract statuses that we see. Where will that be found?
That is going to be under the action codes.
Okay.
You're jumping ahead, Tom.
I'm sorry.
No, not at all. Just teasing. So here they are. So I've created them so they're unique to you. So this tells Equiant that this is a code specific to outdoor adventures, and then it incorporates your pen and a brief description of what that is.
Okay.
And then here are all of those. I created a table that has the original code and description. Very important is what that code is going to equate to as far as our disposition code. And then here's what the action code is. So when you pick, action code out 42, you are basically putting a L disposition code on the account. And that's what these are up here. These are the disposition codes. And please notice that there's a status available for the loan, and there's also one available for the dues. So they can be different.
Okay, so when you hover over it, where is that on that Express view? Does it display prominently on the Express view?
They're at the header.
Okay. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. And then if you want to see your action codes, so if we so what this is going to do now is it has put this action code on the account, but it's also created a request that behind the scenes says Outdoor Adventures would like the action code 50 to be an M code. So when our transmittal process goes through and picks up that request, it's going to change that request to an M code.
I should say, Eric, the reason I'm asking these questions is because I think it's very pertinent information that would be questioned at some point by someone who's going to watch the training video.
Sure. And so that action code did generate the request to change the disposition code to N. So that was automatic with the action code that we just put on the account. Some of the more navigation is interpayment, and I thought we'd kind of go over that in detail at a little bit later date. But you can choose loan or dues, and we try to assist by saying, here's the current balances, here are the options that you can select from. Our system will remember any prior checking or credit card information, so you can easily select one that's been used before if you'd like, or dollar amounts, you can click on any of these and they will automatically pre-fill down here for you if you'd like. So we have an existing credit card on file. We're going to kind of go over this in a little bit more detail. I just wanted to show you the navigation of it. Comments we've talked about already. It has the date, time, the note type code, who entered the comment, and the full text of the comment. So. Account details is going to have the term information for the loan.
So that's like our contracts.
Right. It's going to have some balance information, sales price, down payment, original amount financed, interest rate, again, our assignment or lender code, some payment information for what's needed to bring current, any type of a partial that they may have, some basic payment frequency, method information, some terms. It also has some brief information on the dues, balance, what type of account it is, bill charges, flex monthly, unit and week if we captured that information. And then it will have all of the charge information going, sorting on how you chose your sort option. So this is going from oldest to the newest.
And what we're looking at right now, what you just showed us, is basically a payment history, correct?
This is the history of the rates of the charges. Your payment history is going to be your loan history and then your maintenance history.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll do that. Loan history, again, has some basic information, has some terms, has an amortization schedule based on the original term. So you'll see that there's 7 pages of that. And then it has your years in banners. So you can expand these and look at the entire history, or if we need to zero in on just 1 year, we can look at just 2016. And for print reasons, if we expand these and go up to the print, it will put it in a print-friendly format. So you'll have the ability, you don't have to worry about the banners and take all of that out, and formats the amortization schedule and then the actual payment history for you.
So that's like our finance charge screen.
Right. So so then you can print it either to actual paper or to PDF.
Awesome.
Are the assignment numbers also on the contract screen?
Lender numbers are going to be on the account detail and should be here as well on the loan history.
Are you asking about
assignment number?
The assignment number?
Our assignments, are they on here?
Yeah, what about like the assignment numbers, like 105 or something like that?
It's going to be stored in the lender code.
Okay, assignments or lender codes then.
Contract statuses and dispositions.
So then on the maintenance or the dues history. Has the actual history. Looks like we only have 2016, but it shows oldest to newest. It shows the charges, it shows payments, any type of adjustments, and then it has this category option where you can look at it by total due, past due, or current. And if you'd like, you can actually look at the individual categories as well with this button. So this example has maintenance fees, club fees, hop-away fees, accommodation fees, finance charge, late charge, collection, reinstatements. So this will be more, for you, it'll include your storage fees and late fees and maintenance dues or dues. So those categories will be custom to you.
So when a member pays more money for their dues, is it going to automatically go on prepaid or how does that work?
Yeah.
Similar to that.
Can you take a moment, Eric, and explain the flex?
Sure. Flex monthly means that we would load the entire dues that are due for the year. So, say $1,200, we would load that once a year. And then flex monthly means that the system is going to account for 1/12 of that on a monthly basis. So the minimum amount the customer will owe for $1,200 will be $100 a month. If they choose to pay $300, then basically they're paying a quarter's worth of that. If they choose $600, it equates to semi-annual. But what's nice with flexible frequency is they can pay anything in between. They can pay $400, and that'll pay the first 4 months. And as long as they've paid, then they won't get any type of additional statement until the next 1/12 is due. So if they paid $400 and they're on a January cycle, that's going to take care of the account through April, and they won't owe anything until May. And so they'd get a statement towards the end of April, due for May. So they will only get a statement generated when something is going to be due.
So they're only going to get a statement in April for the amount that is going to be due as of that time. Will it be the full amount or just the monthly?
It'll list minimum of 100 and total of 800 at that point.
Based on $1,200.
And then if it's not
Correct.
paid by late date, they'll get the late fee then in April. Correct.
Are late fees still every month? Like they are now?
We still got to talk through internally how we're going to set those up.
Yeah, and we also were going to work on that, verbiage for the statement, trying to explain everything we just said in a 1 or 2 sentence format. We have that yet to do too.
So is that going to work the same way with contract?
No, contract is, the loans are just a very simple month to month. So.
So they'll be based on the original term as contracted, 60, 72, 84.
But if a member wanted to pay, say, this month and next month for their contract, they
I would
won't be able
assume the
to do
overage
that.
always goes to principal balance then. Like,
Well, it's specified?
That will be probably a question that we can address at a different.
You know, because say I'm getting laid off or something and I wanna make 2 months worth of payments, but I don't want it all to go to
In a
principal.
lot of places, you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that until after a certain day of the month where you're allowed to go on the website and make a second payment. They don't allow
On the
that.
training manual, it allows us to do that in the interface, but I don't know if we're gonna do that as a company. I know that it's available as an option. There's a normal payment, interest only, or pay off through, you know, like you wanna pay off through for 6 months.
Oh, okay,
To
cool.
the next date. I know it's an option at least.
Okay.
So what if we
Right,
have
and as far as, you can make any number of monthly payments, but remember, it's going to be daily interest, so as far as paying interest, it can only pay as much as it's accrued up when that payment's been made. So if they only have $50 worth of accrued interest and they want to make 3 $100 monthly payments, it will advance the due date 3 months. It's only going to pay $50 of accrued interest because that's how much interest has been accrued. The remainder of that will all go to principal, but it will advance the due date for those 3 months.
Can we manually advance that due date when we have a member that we agreed to not accept a payment for 1 month due to a financial hardship or something?
Sure, there's a method of doing that. It's just going to be the matter of setting up the business rules that you'd like to have for who can do that and what range you'd like, you know, for that to be, top out at 6 months, 12 months, you know, whatever. So yeah, it's possible. It's just building the user group to allow that to happen.
Perfect.
So going back to one of the important screens is the account history. And what this will do is detail any of the changes that have been made. So if there's been multiple status changes, the account history under the loan disposition will show any of the status changes to the loan. Maintenance disposition will show status changes for the dues account. We're not going to be doing your collateral, but your assignment codes. There will be a history of any of those changes that are made. So you can see when the change was done and what assignment code it was changed from and to. Transaction history, it's better to look at the payment history. So it's not very helpful on this page. Address history will show any changes made to the address, phone numbers. So it captures, so information can be changed, but the system does capture what it was before as well as what it was changed to. So there's always a history, a record of what information was updated.
So that's our changes button, but way easier to read.
We really don't have to put them in the notes then either, because you can just go to that screen.
Yep.
Correct, right. Yeah, with our system, so many of the functions that are done are automatically captured in the notes as well. So you'll remember that we changed the action code, but we didn't have to go in and create a comment saying that we changed the action code. The system grabbed it and added that comment for us. Just like the email, we didn't have to enter a note saying that we added an email. The system grabbed it and created that comment record for us. So a lot of these are, you know, system driven based on the actions that are being taken. So,
John, that don't mark up anything.
Good job. I got this system just for you.
so when accounts start, for delinquent accounts, and they start falling into the collection campaigns, these loan and PBS collection histories will record what campaigns they've fallen into and build a history of that, so that's helpful. Loan amendments will be just like we were talking about if due dates are extended or moved or extensions are processed. So now we can see here's a due date was changed from 1/1 to 10/1, and then there was a 9-month extension processed. So that was from yesterday when I was getting the account ready for our demo. There hasn't been any changes to terms since the new sales were loaded. And this account doesn't have any assets or record information. So the account history is a great place to go to see what's happened on the account. Manage payment methods. This will be, we can talk about this a little bit more when we do our payment day. But if they have an existing credit card or bank account, say they've changed their expiration date, it's updated, we can easily go in and update the expiration date to an existing credit card. Or if we need to add a new bank account, we can do that. So what it does is it's updating whatever payment methods are on the account, not necessarily payments themselves. So the payment method goes hand in hand with the enter payment screen.
Eric, I know when we were looking at going with First Data, they had a functionality that allowed automatic updating of new credit card numbers and expiration dates. Do you guys have that?
We do with our processor. We can definitely turn that on for your merchant account.
Okay.
Yep.
Do we have a button to take out a bad number? We'll be able to delete that?
So
Okay.
in that, with the credit cards, what about when a bank changes names also? I mean, with the routing numbers, will that change? Like with a bank, I'm talking about like First Merit to Huntington, for instance.
Yeah, some of those ACH
Yeah.
notifications that we get.
The
So we
routing
got
numbers
several of those,
change.
or time 2 of those change over also, I wonder.
Do you know, Eric?
NOCs will automatically change. We get all of that information back in a daily file with our ACH returns. So if there's an NOC, it will update the information, stamp it in the comments, and update that information for us.
Perfect.
The contact information, again, it has address, it has some address history, and depending on your user group access, it has the ability to add or update names, even Social Security, birth dates, FICO scores, for however many people are on the account. So, and again, that's all customizable. So if you have a user group that shouldn't be able to access or update that information, we can do that. View statements. We capture at least 24 months worth of statements and letter activity. So you'll see this account has a monthly loan statement, and it looks like they have a couple due statements. And so you'll be able to access these. So if the customer says, I got a letter dated October 14th, you can pull it up and say, okay, I'm looking at that exact letter, what's your question? How can I help you with that? And so it'll go out to our print vendor and grab that image and bring it back and render that for us.
Now, you're saying that we can view up to 12 months worth of letters and statements. What if we need a letter and statement or a letter that was prior to that 12 months?
No, it's a minimum of 24. So see, this one's going back to 2015. So
I'm just saying if we have litigation or something, you know what I'm saying?
Did you ask that question about the check goes back? Who's responsible?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
So here's a rendering of that 1014 statement. So at that point, you can print it, or you can save a PDF of that and send it to them if they need it. So it's available as well. Let's see, legal information. This account doesn't have any bankruptcy information, but Equiant has the function where we send all of the accounts we service to LexisNexis on a daily basis, and it searches the PACER system for any bankruptcy filings, and it'll automatically bring back all of the filing information. So it'll bring back the chapter, it'll bring back the case, it'll bring back all of the attorney information, the meeting of creditor information, the court information, and it will pre-fill that and capture that information where you can see it and have that information to work the account. And it will also change the status code on the account to B for bankruptcy. So that's probably a good point. We talked about the outdoor status codes and how they equate to the action codes and what disposition codes are going to create, but understanding what these disposition codes do to our system is important. So I brought this up, and you can see that for bankruptcy, it's considered active. It will suppress statements. Just customers can still see their account if they use the customer portal. It will fall out of most of the collection campaigns. It will suppress late charges from generating. Payments can still be entered with authorization. So if the customer does reaffirmation, we can open it up to where payments can be made. Whereas other disposition codes have different controls. So your L for legal, it will suppress statements. Customer cannot see this account if they try to access it on the consumer portal. Late charges are suppressed. Consumers cannot enter payments. So getting an understanding for what these disposition codes control in the system is important. Paid in full basically shuts down the entire account, not considered an active code. And obviously it suppresses, things like statements and collection module and the ability to enter payments. So I don't know if you have this, Adam and Tom. I think we've sent it, but I definitely can send it again if we need to.
I don't think we've seen it yet.
We've seen it, but I don't think we've received it.
Sure. Okay. No problem. That's why I wanted to touch on it.
Yeah,
so again, these,
we have the ability to tweak those a little bit at this point still?
we can't tweak these flags, but what we can tweak is what your code equivalent will be. So we can definitely change this.
Okay.
So if, we thought that the 50 should just be an indicator of modification, but if we want it to be something else, we can.
Okay.
So I'll send both of these. I'll send this table and I'll send this chart as well, and we can give that some additional thought. Perfect. So back to our navigation. We talked about action codes a little bit. This is where our reason for delinquency and also our status update will come from. There's others that are available. Like we can say this account should be deleted from the credit bureau permanently. We can put an action code on the account that will allow that to happen. So there's a lot of choices for action codes, and then all of the reason for delinquencies as well. That's one reason why I've built yours with the out prefix, so they would stand out for you. Developer information. This is where we can help your folks in the call center. If you want notes put in here, some of it is system driven based on the system parameters. So yes, ACH is allowed. Yes, client or customers can see the accounts on the internet. The IVR, they can use that function, and the credit cards, American Express, Discover, JCB, MasterCard, and Visa. But each of these can be customized for how you'd like for that to read, and then that helps your people go for information that's consistent for everybody. Transmittals, I have a whole day set aside for transmittals, but this is where you can go in, and this is where we will make adjustments to the account. This is where we will do late charge waivers. This is where we will, if an account needs to have a dues amount added or reversed, this is where we'll do that. So we have a whole day for transmittals set aside for a training class to go through that, because it's going to be important. This is how you can also, in addition to the action code, if you want to just change the disposition code directly, you can. So transmittals, what happens is the request goes into the system, and every 60 to 90 seconds, the system comes in, scoops up all of the open requests, it compares that to your user accessibilities, and it says, okay, Eric has requested to change the disposition code. I checked Eric's user access. He's allowed to do that, so it will process it and actually do that update. Same with a waiver. If Tom enters a waiver for late charges on the loan, the system will pick that up and say, Tom can waive up to $500. He wants to waive $100, so I'm going to allow this to happen, and it'll actually go out and waive that late charge. So you're actually entering transactions in our system, but it has that validation piece in place as well. So transmittals will take a little bit of time to go through. Credit Bureau, once we've started to report all of the information, let's see if I can find a live one. Just to show you how Credit Bureau looks here. Yeah, so Credit Bureau, very color coordinated. It shows the status. Green is good. So this account's reported for almost 2 years now. And at any point, we can look at detail by just clicking on a particular month. We can see the principal balance that was reported, names, and the status. So those are most of the account navigation reports. We have a training class set aside for that. Excuse me, campaigns as well. Admin, if Tom and Adam, you need to add new users, you can. So if you want to go in and say, I need to set somebody up, with the same access that Eric has. I selected Eric's login here, and then I can just go over and copy that. And so now, I have a new user and, set up a temporary password, change it to active and save it. And so now I have another user with the same access as the one I copied from Eric. So also under admin, again, we'll talk about this on reports, but you can set reports to generate on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. So we'll talk about that on our report day. And then most of these, rest of these are for us as we, set up your controls for how Outdoor World, for Outdoor Adventures, and Venture Out will be processed. So I think that's everything. Log in, settings, navigation, statements, and disposition codes. So it's probably enough for the first day, you think?
Yeah, covered a lot of ground, I think, didn't we?
Yeah. It's easy to spend a lot of time getting the information out. So I tried to break it up into pieces that would be easy to digest.
I think, Eric, I know I've had a couple of questions come up that I've jotted down, and probably Adam has as well. But we
Sure.
can get on an individual basis on those, their programming issues and stuff like that. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Are there any, general questions for navigation or using or anything?
Anybody?
At this point,
No, it was well done, Eric. Thank you.
All right. So, well, I guess we will we'll talk to everyone tomorrow then.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.